can there. There's my can everywhere.
Hey, yo.
That's my can there.
There you
go. With that?
What's that? Yes, you are. Wait a minute. Where's my blooming hat? Where's my hat? Wait a minute. I'm not finding out what I'm doing there. Hello, this is Guitar Rob Smith, Interviews America, and here in Electric Beno land. Wait a minute. I need my hat. I need my blooming hat. Oh, well, anyway.
And I knew deep down this tornado of my soul, she was a hoe. She was a hoe.
That was a song most divine. Let's hear a little bit of Beno, being Beno.
Is that a bottle over there? Is that another can or something? Plastic? I don't know. Hey, what's that? I got my 22 in my pocket.
And my Orange Crush.
My 5 dice in the other. My little pocket's full of love. This hoe wants to get together.
Nice.
5 dice in my pocket. Pocket full of love in the other. Me and me, this hoe, we just need to get.
Where the hell's my way? Anyhow,
that's every bit of talent that I just strewn.
Beno, look how big I am. Look how big I am in the foot. Beno, this is God. What the heck were you doing sitting here when I want you to be famous? Get the heck out of here. It's got you not no business hanging around Richmond, San Pablo. That's all. Did you see what God just said? Beno is supposed to be rich and famous. He's got a calling, man.
Multitasker and talented.
He's one heavy dude. Anyway,
I could go from video games to the guitar, man.
I mean, tell you, man, there's some shit.
I can play anything from badminton to
good mitten. And I'm admitting you.
I play everything. From dice to badminton. I could go fly fishing.
Did you fly fishing? Oh, come on. Go get on.
I could do anything. I could do anything from fly fishing to badminton. Fly fishing to badminton.
Fly fishing to badminton.
That's Dre.
That's hard shit. That's raw. Let me tell you what.
He said, I could do anything. I could do anything. I could do anything. I could do anything from fly fishing to badminton.
Anyhow, you may not know it, but I have to get your permission first, of course. I do interviews.
Yes.
Can I do an interview with you?
Of course.
Hey, this is Beno. This is my friend Beno. I'm happy to know him.
Genius.
He's a genius. And if I could put my thing down.
I have an opinion and probably a pretty good opinion about absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's not even a joke.
Yeah, I go battle anybody, anytime, anywhere, unless you agree. But I'd rather you disagree so I could win the argument. Just for kicks and...
Yeah, just for the fuck of it.
I'll disagree with something I agree with you, and I'll convince you that you should feel bad about it.
That's a fact. You know why? Just because.
Because I needed to win. And that's all that matters.
That's his tactic.
Nothing else matters but my victory and whatever.
Beno, do you believe in...
Absolutely, I do.
You believe in,
You know, you were just about to say God.
I wasn't going to say God.
You were going to say God.
I was going to say, peace is superior firepower, motherfucker. No.
No, I don't believe in
I don't believe in that. But some people do.
I don't believe in superior firepower. I believe in, I do believe in superior, not equal firepower by any means, no. No, I've always liked the stigma of, oh, Beno, he's got more friends than I do, or fuck that guy, and I'll kick his ass and shit like that. But in the end, whose ass really gets kicked?
I know what you mean.
Well,
So, what I'm saying is...
Well, mine does, usually, but...
do you know that... Beno, have you ever lost a fight that you... Or I should say... You ever won a fight that you wish you hadn't? How about that question?
Well, yeah, I have, as a matter of fact. I won a couple fights that I wish I didn't really win, because in the long run, I won the war, but I didn't win the battle, because I won the fight initially, but then the battle was long and arduous after that. And it just took a long time, you know, and so the battle was won by my adversary, for sure. But in the end, the war, because there's battles and wars and there's skirmishes, so I won the skirmish, the initial skirmish. Lost many battles after that, but then in the long run, I did win the war, Now, was it all worth it? I think it's just in our DNA that we got it, you know what I mean? Like my friend says, you know, fist fight is a handshake to us, you know, meaning the Irish.
I knew that was coming. So you're an Irishman.
I am. I'm not an Irishman. I'm an Irish American.
And what's your family name?
O'Malin.
Yeah.
That's the clan name.
Yeah. Mine.
O'Malin. That's a O. What's that? Ooh.
Yeah.
And Maeilan, which is stemmed everything from Millen to Mullen to Millers, came from that clan.
What do you think the original antecedent line from? What's the origin of that name? What does it mean? You know, is there any?
I don't know what it means, but I know that it was a clan, and it was one of the very first clans in Ireland.
Wow.
From thousands of years ago, you know, I mean, like many thousands of years.
I believe.
And they came from the Vikings, actually.
Okay.
They were, I think, Druids, if I'm incorrect about that term.
Yeah.
And the Druids, I believe, were the Vikings.
I think the Druids were I believe they were a religious sect.
They were Druids, yeah. Vikings were Druids, I believe.
And I think you could be Druid in different things.
Oh, okay, maybe so. I thought, well, anyway.
The Celts.
The Celts came from the Vikings, right?
I don't know about that. I really don't
The
know.
Viking, okay, so there's that race. Yeah, I think the Celts came from Vikings. And they,
Yeah,
yes.
because it's Scandinavian.
Yeah, and that's where the red hair came from.
That's right, that's where all the metal. That's where the metal came from.
Then you got your Black Irish, right? Where
The brunette.
they were invaded, you know, Spain. You know, Ireland was invaded a bunch of times. You know, that's where a lot of the people were, of course. You know, they came from the Vikings. There was already people there, though. Interestingly enough, and they were the Irish.
Wow.
People, you know what I mean? And so, you know, everybody's got the real Irish in them, you know, that are Irish, and of course.
What are the real? Okay, well.
But anyway, this is thousands of years ago. The Spaniards, you know, back not that long ago, it was only like 800 years ago. But the Spaniards had maybe only 500, you know, attacked and went onto shores in Ireland, you know, in Northern Ireland there, and they raped, pillaged, and plundered, just like the Vikings did, and they had their offspring there, you know, of course, and that was black-haired Irish people. And they didn't have that before, and that's why my grandmother told me the story.
Was the Black Irish?
About the Black Irish. And the Black Irish, you can't... they say it's a myth and all this other shit, but it's not, you know, because they don't know what a myth is.
When
their myths become truths later, you know, so... Now they're finding cities under the sea, which was always the mythological city of Atlantis, you know, but... Sure. Oh, but now they just found all these cities under the sea, you know what I mean, that were megatropolises and shit like that, you know.
That's because they found shit that happened.
That's because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, you know, they never, I mean, you're talking about their ideals came from Englishmen in the 1700s, that's where we're all basing our shit off of. Yeah. You know, and those guys, I hate England, and I hate English people, too. Yeah. I don't like them, and I don't care for them.
Why?
And, because, I'm Irish, and I don't like English.
That's right, because you're Ireland.
Yeah.
Irishman.
England is repressed, you know, my ancestors.
All part of Holy War, right?
And I have family members that are still in Ireland, and I've met them. And,
that's cool.
And they are against English rule.
Oh, they're still being ruled by English?
Well, yeah.
They invaded.
They are.
They invaded by the army and shit?
Well, you have your English sympathizers, you know, in there in Ireland. Well, Northern Ireland fought for their independence, but Northern Ireland, you know, the IRA.
Yes, IRA.
The IRA and Sinn Féin want Ireland to be one country, not two, because basically it's two now. There's Northern Ireland and there's Ireland. And so Northern Ireland is one of the same, but it's not a different country, but it's a free from English rule. Northern Ireland is, because they battled and they fought for 1,000 years for it. And so finally, but that's not good enough for us. We want our whole country.
Why not?
Because
why not?
Because Ireland is one country.
It's one country. It's one Ireland.
It's one country, and the English have their country right there in England.
Right.
And they could take their fucking limey bastard asses right back to it.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Because not only did they fuck up the world, you know what I mean, with their English church and their fucking shit.
That's right.
But what they did is they repressed millions and millions and millions and millions, killed millions of people, forced, and still to this day, me being of a Caucasian color have nothing to do with at all with any type of slavery. My family came over in the potato famine in the late 1900s, and even before that, a couple hundred years before that, from Ireland. All right. And now the Irish, my family was sold into what they call slavery. They called it indentured servants, but they were sent to Barbados. They were sent to the Caribbean islands, and they weren't called. They didn't come to America as slaves. They had to send those guys, you know, the Irish people down, and they were slaves. So a lot of black people don't know that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I understand what they're saying. So, like, for me to be pissed off at England, it's kind of like, just like black people are pissed off at white people, but black people should really learn their history and know who the fuck fucked them over, and not the Irish people didn't.
No.
You know what I mean? Because we've been poor bastards our whole fucking life, and when we were coming over to America, instead of just like in the movie Gangs of New York, we were getting off of one boat and getting right back onto another and shipped down to the Civil War, you know, down south.
Right.
You know, on the front lines.
Somebody shook your hand and had a piece of coin in it.
And then when it was all said and done, they fucking didn't civilize us. They didn't, you know what I mean? They fucking threw us into Tennessee, and that's where, you know, that's where the Irish, the Cherokee and the Irish mixed up together, and you got the...
I think the Irish, I heard, were treated pretty badly in America.
Oh, yeah.
They had caricatures drawn up like funny-looking and monstrous.
Well,
and goofy.
they have DNA that's some DNA of, like I was talking about, like, there's different, there's Gaelic, there's Irish, there's Celts,
That's right.
That's what I was getting at, Gaelic.
Gaelic, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was, different races, right? So, anyway, like, one of those races there, you know, is the original Irish people, and it's like they They can't really say where they came from because they were there so long.
Wow.
They could kind of say, oh, they probably came up through the north through this way, but they know they didn't because that's where the Viking people came from, and they already have that DNA down.
Yeah,
so,
right.
and then there's the Irish people that were already there.
Right.
That if you take the profile of one of those Irish, not because there's still people that look like the old ones, you know what I mean? But they look like black people, you know, and so that's why they were persecuted, you know, because some of them were, you know, they had black features, you know what I mean? So they just had white skin, you know, and then you got the Basque people, which I'm Basque too.
That part of Spain, isn't it?
It's part of Spain, but not. They don't share any type of what is that called? Hispanic or Latino or Latin blood at all. They share the same blood as Eskimos and Indians, American Indians. But the Basque people have been there. They didn't come from American Indians, right? They came from the dirt, just like American Indians do.
You're heading right where I want to ask you a question, because as I know you're practically an anthropologist. The way you've checked it out, you've done your history, did your homework on.
Well, I have it in my
real
blood
history.
because my dad's an anthropologist.
I didn't know
But
that.
he didn't ever. He just he's not a very good teacher of knowledge. You know what I mean? He's a good shower of knowledge.
You know a lot about this area here in San Pablo, Richmond area, around
a little bit,
about the Indian tribes that were around here.
Well, there wasn't tribes around here. There was bands of Indians.
Bands, like you had.
And
some
they
that
were
was
mixed with previous tribes from all over. You know, but mostly down south, the Castellonians, which were, I believe, the Mayans or the Aztec, one of the two, that just migrated up from South America up here, you know. And most people think that they all came down, but they're starting to find out that, and I never believed that's not true, because the Mayans, American Indians believe they didn't migrate from anywhere. They came from the earth, you know what I mean? Their people was born from the earth.
That's it.
And that's where they'll go back into the earth, and that's why they're in tune with the earth. So it's very interesting. Like
it is.
And they've been trying for centuries. Now they're starting to retract their steps now, because when Cortez went through South America in the 1400s, he documented in the Amazon. Huge cities.
Huge ones.
Huge cities.
They're barely finding some.
Million people in the jungle. So these cities were, right? The jungle hadn't changed, but there were cities there, networked, and there's towns and cities, and that was supposed folklore or mythology, right? And his accounting of whatever was kind of just discarded by, you know, the English, you know, people, civilized, the educated ones over here. But now they're learning that, wait a second, because it's on fire right now, the Amazon. Yeah, so it's like millions and millions and millions and millions of acres have burned. And you know what? It's not even really made a dent, but I mean, it's got a long way to burn, but it doesn't look like it's ever going to go out, you know, so it's going to burn down. But by the time it gets all the way, you know, maybe the other stuff will be. But what they're doing is they're putting farmland in there. So anyway, what they're finding though is these huge fucking cities.
Wow. Intact,
I mean, intact. Not all intact. You know, the jungle's done but since all the vegetation has burnt off, they're finding these fucking massive motherfucking structures. You know what I mean? And massive back then wasn't 100 stories. Massive was 5 stories, 10 stories. Buildings, and those were skyscrapers back in 500 years ago. And they were true. All of his accountings were. They were saying, well, they have to retract, and you know that they're saying he wasn't just making stuff up, or he wasn't saying that this city was 1 million people, because he counted scores and scores of ranks and ranks. If he had them in ranks in military terms for Cortez, if he had them in ranks, he would say that they could fill 1 million ships or some shit. You know what I mean? The amount of people that were in some of these cities.
Wow.
Okay. So they're estimating like over, and just by the sheer size and the evidence that they have now, because they're actually going to these places.
Wow.
And
they're finding a lot of shit in there.
They're finding a lot of stuff. You know, they're finding, they're finding a lot of. But what they're more concerned with is how they lived and how they maintained and what happened to them. And what happened to them was disease.
Disease happened to them.
Disease, Europeans brought the disease over and then wiped them out. You know, wiped them out completely. You know.
Yes.
Except for little fractions that were left over.
Yeah.
You know, and those are those indigenous tribes that a few still exist, kind of. You know, down in there.
Yeah.
You know, they're like.
You're
not supposed to fuck with the, you know, you just leave them alone and they're out there suffering. But they're, you know, I mean, that's not doing nothing but prolonging this destiny. But anyway, fucking,
something.
But yeah, that was left over was just you know, a family of people that were fucking probably outskirts anyway from fucking everybody that caught disease. You know, they survived. The humans survived, but human beings. You know?
Well, if you don't mind me asking, what are your credentials?
I have a GED.
Yeah, GED. Because the way you talk makes me. I've known a lot of different types of people, and
well, I was when I was
homework.
taking those tests, those bubble tests in school, you know, where they tried to put you in and place you, you know, they didn't know what to place me in. Like, they wanted to put me into the gifted program, but I had straight F's on my report card, but on my test scores were
off the charts.
You know, I was at college, what would equal as in my master's, you know, in literature and journalism when I was in the 8th grade. You know? I was in the 24th grade, I think. Wow. Whatever that is.
What the hell?
No, there is no 24th grade, you know, and they're saying that's like a PhD. You know?
Yeah, I believe
that was my writing in my you know.
In reality, in math, you're like a professor. In reality, you don't have any credentials. In reality, you are more like a professor to me, which maybe not.
No.
To me, I feel.
I'm not a professor. I'm just a thinker.
I mean,
thinker. I'm a reader.
You're definitely a historian.
And I didn't really agree with a lot of the people that were smarter than me, you know, supposedly smarter than me, like meaning in my family. Like my father, you know, my father was like supposed to be and my grandmother, they were the two book learning individuals, you know, and they are smart, very smart, you know, very intelligent, but they learn what they've learned from somebody else, so if they pick a side and they go with it, and I'm not saying that that's stupid, I'm saying that's what most people do.
Yeah.
But they're very intelligent and they're very articulate and they speak very well and they can speak in front of people.
They probably.
And they have their ideals in place and there's no wavering, so there's no open mind there.
Yeah.
They're as democratic and as democratic as they want to seem, they're very closed-minded people, you know what I mean? They really are, and they're not Democrats by any means. They're more Republicans than anything. Sure. They just don't know it, and they would get really pissed off if they knew I said that, because they can't actually sit there and say, well, maybe he's right. Well, they're not capable of doing that. So whatever they've learned, whether right, be wrong, right, indifferent, that's what they know. And they don't learn anymore.
They're not like
there's no learning.
Pioneers there.
They've reached a point in their minds, you know, many years ago, that they knew they were smart, because they were, and they're smarter than everybody else around them.
Yeah.
You know, if you could say that, and so they were content with that at 30.
Wow.
So their ideals were placed, and you know, I mean, hey, life probably just begins at 30. You know, when you're starting to think as a thinker.
It's
not
true.
in your early 20s. When your ideals are already set in stone, then you got to be able to change that.
That's true. You got to be flexible and be able to...
You don't, though. You don't.
You're outside the lines.
Don't, though. I mean, that's not what happens. People aren't flexible. People don't do that.
No, people don't do that.
And once, you know, and that's that's where humanity is human.
I think you have the like what you have. To me, I think you have the pioneer spirit, where you can go and you can live in a practical sense, use the knowledge that you know. But a lot of people, I don't think they could. I don't know. A lot of people, I don't know. I
can't. You know what I mean?
Hey, you can.
I can't. No.
No.
Because people are.
No, sure.
Yeah, well,
you're amazing.
It's people. I mean, I get stuck on what people think and get pissed off, and then my argument goes right out the window once I get angry.
I kind of think what I'm talking is
But my views are really kind of not that unique.
I mean, if you were like in a situation where, well, now it's time to move out of here into the.
Well, I'm adaptable.
Yeah. Well, that's how that goes.
I mean, I can withstand a lot of abuse.
Hey, tell me quickly about the snake people.
Snake people well, the Indians here are what is the name of that trail?
I don't know.
The Ohlone. We call them the Ohlone, but the Ohlone not a tribe. They're really Castellonians around here. Or they were Castellonians, and Castellonians came from the Aztec and the Mayans, I believe. They migrated up. Now the Castellonians, those are your tribes. They're all Castellonian tribes down in Southern California. Anyway, that's what we have here in San Pablo. And San Pablo is a very unique band of Indians right here in San Pablo on the creek. And they had no name. You know what I mean? They were just a band of Indians. You know what I mean? A family.
Yeah.
Or a few families together, and they were here for thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
A couple, 4, 5, 6,000 years they're thinking. They're not sure how many thousands, but a lot of thousands, right?
And that's proof. That's been proven, yeah.
They were they worshipped the snake on the creek here.
Because there was a lot of snakes here, right?
Because there was a lot of snakes, and there still is a lot of snakes on the creek.
But at one time it was covered with it, though. At one time
and
it was
there
covered.
Still is parts of that creek that are still covered with snakes.
Really?
And there's one area here in San Pablo that I'm not going to say it's untouched, but it's because it's been touched. But for some of it is really kind of the same as it always has been, because really fucking steep.
Yeah.
And the same trees are there from when the Spanish explorers came up the creek and they drew a sketch. And my friend showed me. He goes, "Look at this book, and then stand right here." And when I stood right there and looked at the sketch of a shaman with his hair going like this, but it showed the backdrop, and it showed the same exact trees that were there 400 years ago.
Wow.
And what they did is they wove these trees together, like dream catchers.
Yeah.
Because they're very mystical and very trippy, right?
Yeah, they have the roots.
Well, at night, when you go to that spot, and they talk about it, the explorers talk about it, these weird lights that happen. These lights happen, and they're not fireflies or nothing there, but they're... All I could say is they're probably souls. Spirits. They're spirits, you know, and very.
Are they like the will of the wisp?
And they just start gleaming like they're stars like right there. That's the same size as that you could reach in and grab it. They start shooting, and they're everywhere, and they're in the trees.
Do they float?
They're like if it was a firefly, just like a firefly, but it's not a firefly. It's just an entity. It's it's right here, and but you're not grabbing nothing, but it's right there. Like you could see where.
And you can take pictures of it too.
It shines in your hand.
You know, they have the same thing in Ireland. You probably heard of it, the will of the wisp. Well, you ever heard of it? They have that same situation where their souls, whatever it is, then their lights like fireflies, and they float like that. You have to look it up. The will of the wisp.
Well, I have heard of that. Yeah. I forgot about that. That was a long time ago.
On the Irish side of my family was the Deckers. I don't know what part of Ireland they came from, but all I know is that all those motherfuckers were bald, and so that's why I'm fucking bald. There's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, there's a lot more I'd like in the future, I believe, like to interview you about, because I think you know a lot of shit. And
I'm the leading expert on my interests around here.
I bet you are. Okay, I find that very motherfucking interesting. And what's this town that we're in right now? Is this
Richmond?
This is motherfucking Richmond. The border of Richmond and San Pablo. Yes. God bless Richmond and San Pablo. I will bless and not curse, the Bible says. All right, take care. And Slangy, or whatever. How do you say any... You know any Irish?
Actually, I don't.
I know how to say Slangy from the fucking fools at the fucking pub where they had the Guinness... I was in part of the Guinness Book of World Records in the biggest... In Gaelic, they all cheered. We all cheered on Radio Connected at the same time.
In Ireland?
I was in America, and everybody else all over the world cheered and drank a Guinness beer and cheered all at the same time. I made the Guinness Book of World Records. But they do that every year, so I finally made it. Anyway, it doesn't fucking matter, kids. It don't matter. Anyway, we'll be seeing you later there soon. Okay, good. See ya, and God bless Ireland, God bless America, God bless the red, white, and blue, and the white, orange, and green.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.